Gabby here, and today we have a new episode in the art review series. And today we'll be checking out the work of Antonio J. Manzanedo. He's an illustrator and concept designer based in Caceres, Spain. So that's cool. He does a lot of fantasy work, as you can see, heavy on the monster creature design. So it's kind of my lane, kind of my interest. So I'm pretty glad I found his work. I did find his work through Twitter, and I will be linking his Twitter page, his Instagram page, and obviously his ArtStation page in the description below, so no worries. Now, he's a bit detailed for me, but I still like his work because it still feels painted, and that's kind of my thing, painted work. I'm going to pick out the pieces of his that spoke to me. I do like his dragons a lot. They're very aesthetically aggressive and just rough looking. Like, I feel like dragons have to be pretty as well and not just ferocious and super aggressive. I mean, yes, the aggression has to be there because they are dragons, but they still have to be somewhat pretty because reasons. And yeah, it still feels painted, and I do like the fact that he does have videos of him painting. It's not a full time-lapse video, but it's essentially more of a clip. He has 2 clips that I'm going to feature later on in the end of this video, but yeah, he has a very direct painting approach, which I do like, and essentially he is somewhat impressionistic in the beginning, and then he'll just, like, this is what happens when you just go further with your painting. Eventually you can get to a more detailed look, and what I do like is it gets very detailed in just one spot. Usually it's the head, obviously the main subject of focus, and you can see that it has way more contrast, way more detail, and yes, way more contrast. You can tell by the mouth, the teeth, like you're immediately pulled to the face, even if there are like lightning strikes on or in the sky, and you can even see the glowing things here from the lightning. It's kind of flashing on the flesh, on the skin of the wings, but I don't know, this part right here, it just pulls you in, and it has a bit of that bluish glow, perhaps from its own skin. It's so cool. I mean, come on, it's so pretty. Here we have another dragon, and it's a night scene. Obviously it's flying at night, no shit, but look at how as you go further away it gets less and less detailed. And what I do like is as you focus in more, you can see his brushstrokes, and as you go further to the main subject or main area of focus, the focal point, it's hard to see the brushwork. It reminds me of Ruan Jia. I believe I've done an art review of his work, but he goes eventually into, like, he zooms in so much into his painting whenever he does the detailing, and Antonio does the same thing. He will zoom in on one part and then he'll just render away and just paint the shit out of it, and it looks cool. Like, once you've zoomed out, it feels so detailed and looks so like crunchy. Bruh. It just looks so like not tight in a bad way, but it just looks so yummy. And I like it. And I love his designs. Like, again, he's not just a painter, like illustrator painter. He is a designer as well, and I do like his creature dragon designs a lot. He does a lot of like deathly types of things. This one is a piece for Vert Paint Studios, Dead House Sonata. I think it's a game or something, who knows. But again, it's the same approach, very detailed, very intricate, and very realistic, which I do like. Reminds me of another artist, Ari something. I'll link that artist's link or links in the description below as well, just because they have a similar vibe, so maybe you're interested in that other artist's style as well. So yeah, I do like now this is a bit too intense for me. Maybe I'm just unskilled, or maybe, I do have a type. I'm very impressionistic, but paintings or illustrations like this they're just impressive and nice to look at. So I feel like Antonio's work has to be seen because reasons. They look good, and very intricate designs here, especially with the bones and the flesh. He does play with the teeth a lot. I think it's because he's so used to drawing or painting monsters that He's pretty much used to painting very scary looking faces. And again, the realism is amazing here. So here we have a zombie for Magic the Gathering, Dominaria United. Same thing here, very intricate. Now he did work on the background just a bit, I believe. I do like the effects of the face here. It has some magical element to it, no shit. I believe Magic the Gathering is some kind of card game, right? Who knows? I love the hands, very dynamic, love the pose, even without the painting. Or the rendering, the pose itself still pulls, even if it's just like a pencil sketch or an inked sketch, it still has a nice dynamic feel to it. But yeah, I do like once you see him focusing on something on an area of a painting, he just has that very detailed approach where he does zoom in, and you can see by the results of his portfolio that it always looks good. Here we have it's not fully finished, but I think it's more of a design thing. I think he was trying to explore the mount here, the creature mount. Obviously, there's way more detail in the face. There's way more. I'm not sure if he used the texture, like a photo bashing texture here, but I think perhaps he just painted it. Who knows? But I love how it's so realistic. Like the lighting, it has such a wide range of values, and it's so blended well together that it feels like the real thing. So again, there's a lot of realism in his work, and look at how it gets very sketchy here. Like this is how essentially the paintings are started, but eventually, if you keep going, if you just stick to it, kind of like Antonio here, eventually you can reach this point of magnificence, and yeah. Now, obviously, he has way more knowledge in terms of like lighting, so you're gonna have to do your own studies. And it's great with the whole texture thing, suggesting textures. And yeah, he's obviously a designer. He's not just limited to the painting, illustration aspect. He does know some design, so you can't just, be all of him at once. It takes time, it takes experience, but it's proof that eventually, if you just push it further, you can reach to this kind of level. Again, you can always use references, right? So there's that. Oh, here we have a bunch of dragon head designs. Very interesting. And what's so cool is that they all come in different shapes and sizes, different designs. So there's a lot of variety in his works. Like he's not just stuck doing one thing. Like you can tell each face is somewhat different. So there's a great explorative element to his work there as a designer. So I believe we have a speed painting, not speed painting, but a clip of his painting of this specific sketch. Now this one is not a dragon, no shit, but it's more of I believe it's called the Infernal Beast. And yes, we do have a video of this guy. It's not a full painting video, but you can tell by how he focuses on one part. You can tell the gist of his approach. So I think I'll start with the dragon painting, and then we'll move on to the demon, infernal demon thing. So here we have the dragon sketch. This is in his YouTube channel. I will link these videos in the description below as well. So again, very rough indication of the actual head. And then he paints in the light parts, which is interesting. So he's painting in black, where he starts out with a dark background and then paints the light in. So that's kind of interesting. It's not a normal approach, not a typical approach, but it shows you his experience when it comes to lighting. So I think that contributes a lot to the realism in his work. The fact that he's confident enough to paint in dark, not in like the typical white or light background, and then work on the shadows, So that's pretty interesting. And yeah, he will zoom in and actually go into detail and refine things. Because yes, normally you're supposed to figure everything out from the zoomed out view, but not always. You can always zoom in sometimes here and there. And I think Antonio does a good job of showing that you don't always have to stick to the whole zoomed out type of thing. You can go into detail immediately if you are confident, I guess, or maybe if you have references or whatever. But it's possible to do it this way, kind of like Antonio does. So yeah, he does paint in the textures as well, so that's cool. And again, he doesn't have to paint everything. He does most of his heavy detailing in the head, because that's where most people look at anyway. I mean, look at this dragon here, this other design. Very intricate face design, lots of textures or suggested textures, lots of detail. And you can tell even at this stage, he's very focused on the face, on the mouth. And he's pretty much roughly suggesting the neck. Enough information there to suggest some kind of muscles and shit or some kind of scaling. But most of for example, right now, most of his work is just going into detail on the facial texture. So that's super cool. He just paints the texture. And that's super impressive. So we'll move on to you can check out this video. Again, I'll link the video in the description below. So here we have him zoomed in on a specific part. Again, it's not a long video, but you can see him go and zoom in on a specific part, and then he'll just paint away, render away, and define the shapes and all. Very interesting. And in a way, it can be somewhat fun, even if you're an impressionistic, very big picture kind of guy. I think it's fun to zoom in sometimes and just, define the edges, make these intricate little paint strokes, and it's so cool seeing that. And I think he's painting on one layer. I think so. What I can tell from his work is that he's a very confident painter, which I do like. So that's it for this art review of Antonio Manzanedo. I recommend you check out his work. All of the links will be in the description below, and I will link the other artist that is somewhat similar to Antonio. And yeah, I'll see you in the next art review.